Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku podcast. How is everybody doing out there? I'm in Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan here, and I'm so excited to be back here tonight to talk awesome, funny anime with my good friend Isaac Wolf. What's up, man?
Puns for life.
Pu- Hashtag puns for life. Um, Welcome, guys, to the Amateur Otaku podcast, where we review and cover anime movies, manga, anime shows of all genres, from horror to sci-fi, fantasy to isekai, whatever genre we find, whatever anime looks interesting, and that we want you to come to know. We cover it on the show. If you love what we do here at the Amateur Talker Podcast, make sure you click on that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the bell for notifications, and so that way you don't miss any single episode. Make sure you click on that bell icon and share with your friends. And if you love to listen to us in a podcast form, the Amateur Otaku Podcast is available on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Stitcher, Anchor, anywhere where podcasts are found, you can find the Amateur Otaku podcast. Now, we have a great treat for you guys. Isaac has been screaming to me that we cover this show, and he has mentioned it a million times to you guys that we're going to cover it, and we're finally doing it. I finally got around to watching a good chunk of it to know what this show is about, and it is an awesome, funny, maddening, crazy show. And I can't wait to tell you guys what I think because I know that Isaac has a lot to say and a lot to share about it. So we're going to jump right into it, Isaac. Today's topic is Nichijou My Ordinary Life. Now,
If
go.
I would say if that's what an ordinary life, then I would be scared for my life every second of it.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, your life's an anime, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, but not that much of an anime.
But yeah, Nishio My Ordinary Life was produced by Kyoto Animation Studios. It came out back in 2011, and it's a comedy series that takes place on this small town of. I have it here. I have notes. The small town of Toki Sadame, and it centers around kids in a high school about different people that live in this town, but primarily kids in high school. And boy, this show it's something. It's something. I think I part of me wants to think about Gintama because of the little things that I know about it. But in my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac, Gintama is a lot more story driven,
Yeah,
right? Than Nichijou is. Like there's a direction, there's a point, and then you have all the madness and the jokes on the side, right? So like there is a north, there is a goal to the show. Um, but
you
this
can
was
argue
different.
that Gintama is more like a Japanese answer to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy if it was on drugs.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I'm glad that there's probably someone out there in the far reaches of space that probably understands
When
that
we are
reference.
covering it, you will understand what I mean.
Oh my god. But Isaac, you recommended the show, Nichijou My Ordinary Life. Why do you like it so much? I have a pretty good idea why. But when did you discover it? And why did you feel that we needed to cover it?
It's a prime example of what I mentioned countless times before in the show. I was just scrolling down on a subscription service I had. I believe it was Wacom at that time. Yeah, and then I saw. I felt that I needed to watch a comedy, and then I saw the synopsis of it and all that. Yes, as I just okay, this could be everything from just cringe words inducing to insa- shit crazy insanity, and it's a prime example of a slaps. Imagine if Looney Tunes was mostly humans, and it was the slapstick common in time, in some regard times thousand, or and there are sometimes they are just over exaggerate pretty much normal stuff, so to speak.
Right.
Like being, I wouldn't call it normal, but being bitten as a dog, acting like it's causing an explosion, or dropping the stew is like it's the end of the world, something like that. But the most famous part of them all within the Vobam Entertainment Group is none other than the famous uh, Principal versus Dare fight, which is just so wonderfully stupid that I can't do anything but loving it.
But so legendary. Like it has this epicness to it. And I think, and you know what, everything you said about it is it's true and resonates with everything that I felt watching the show. Which, by the way, there's so many moments on this show that you either scream, "What it what what," and at the same time, there's other moments where you just burst out laughing because it is just so ridiculous at times. Um, but what I love about Keiichi Arawi's work in Nishio, which is the writer of the manga and um, that created My Ordinary Life, what I love about this anime is that the way that it's over the top and excessive doesn't it, because it does it all the time, it doesn't kind of turn you off. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know how there's certain shows or certain shows that do go over the top so much in a certain way that you get tired of it. um there's so much creative energy going around through every single episode. It is just fascinating the things that this guy comes up with. And I love the fact that it happens that all the different characters feel very unique. They all have their individual quirks, identities. They all have their particular way of handling situations. And whenever you transfer yourself to the different groups of characters, you know that you're going to a different type of scenario, but the humor is there, the lightheartedness is there. And even though they're all pushing the envelope in how crazy it's going to go. But I think one of the most important things that we need to establish here is that, um, in terms of the creativity, is that everything is also very team. Like this is not an adult show. Like it's not in a show that is extravagant in terms of adult humor, right?
no,
Like it is definitely directed to a broad audience between adults and high schoolers, but it's basically for high schoolers. And what I love about it is that it feels very genuine because of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't try to be grown up. That's not the point here.
nah, yeah,
The point is that these are high schoolers and you're getting into their minds. And when you think about it, everything that seems over the top, it's not because it is over the top, but you got to think about it. When we were all in high school and something happened to us, we thought our world was over. You know what I mean? Or we thought that our entire world depended on that one thing. And I like the fact that the way that the different scenarios that we see in the show, it's like if we were to blur the line between our imagination at that moment and reality, this is what would be happening. Because you got to think about it. When someone blows up, nobody else blows up. It's just the one character. You know, does it make sense? And,
yeah.
and and I like how it's like for that little moment, we're getting a peek into how this character is interacting with the situation. And it's just, it's, excuse my French. Well, I'm not going to curse. It's freaking brilliant because you keep enjoying it more and more. Like Yuuko is just pointless. It's just helpless. She's just a ditz.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, I have to say, on one hand, even though I'm a cat person, that cat is a dick, but at the same time, I can't help but feel sorry for him for living with this household,
yeah,
so to
with
speak.
these people, and it's funny because this cat is such a cat, and like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and
Uh,
like a lot of us think like cats are cool, but also cats can be kind of dicks. But this is a cat that we can actually understand, so
yeah.
you know what I mean. So that's why we kind of say it out loud. He's a dick, but we can actually understand him, and we can see what he's thinking, which is so funny. Um, but if before we go into the characters and what our favorite characters are, because I think we definitely have to do that, right? Um, one of the best things that you'll find in this show that actually makes it very enjoyable and very easy to digest is that the show, every episode, similar to Psyche K, right? Each episode is separated in vignettes. So you
Yeah.
have little vignettes. You probably have 5 mini episodes within the episode. It actually reminds me also, the way of the house husband is designed this way too, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
it's each episode is multiple vignettes, but the brilliant thing about Nishiyu is that because you have different groups of characters and different pairings of characters, you can have, of course, the ones that I would say the ones that dominate the narrative. And I don't mean narrative in a story sense because there's no really like a story per se. The ones that dominate the vignettes are going to be your main three high schoolers, which is Yuko, Mio, and Mai. But you have Nano, the robot made by the 8-year-old Hakase, and Sakamoto on one side. You have the guy with the mohawk. You got the guy with the afro. You got the teachers. You got the principal, and you have all these. You also have.
Not to mention the goat riding snob that one of the girls are have the hots for.
Well, that's the thing. That's not Yuko. That's a different girl altogether.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, yeah. And so you have different little pairings, and you just see different vignettes of these characters, in different settings, different moments, and some of them have to do with love, some of them have to do with friendship, some have to do with the fact that Yuko never did her own homework. Others have to do with Yuko actually doing her homework but leaving it at home. Like it is so varied that you can actually just sit down and pick up one random episode and watch it and have a blast and not watch it again for a whole month and then just pick a different episode and have a blast, you know? I love the fact that there's so much replayability and you can always go back to it to just have a good time. And that's, I think, one of the best things about the show.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just on top of that, all I know that is not as analytic as you might go into, but it's a perfect example of an anime. If you have a rough time, you just need to shut off your brain and laugh.
Yes. Yes.
This is the
100%.
per. This is the perfect anime for it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And I mean all the characters are so likable and it's good, just good innocent fun. Now you've watched it probably a million times. I've watched a good chunk of the episodes. Like if you were to, do you have a favorite character? Do you
The
have a favorite
cat.
moment? The now what was the best thing, like what was it, the cat? So the whole thing with Sakamoto, let's talk about him. So Hakase is his 8-year-old doctor or scientist apparently. So she made this robot called Nano, And one day they find this cat. So Hakase makes Sakamoto a what is it? A scarf or a bandana
Yeah,
that will give
scarf.
him that gives him the ability to talk. And as soon as he opens his mouth, you hear this douchebag behind this cat's mouth that only behaves because he's not thrown out to the street.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. So that's your
And
favorite character. Now, do you have? So, what are your favorite moments? If you have a favorite moment,
while he's my favorite characters, my favorite moments is probably something along the lines of, uh, you know, this. Did you see the scene where the one of the where the two of the girls got caught by a cop because one they heard from someone that was using a what's it called, false money counterfeit bill.
oh my god,
Uh,
no,
I can't
that sounds
remember exactly.
ridiculous. That sounds
And
ridiculous.
the one of the girls did use a counterfeit bill, but and it just she oh, I'm sorry, and then it's a girl that is have the hots for the snob that rides on his on the goat
Oh
all
yeah,
the time.
yeah.
And then the police have to search her bag, and in that bag he finds out he finds the he finds the erotic pictures she has drawn with him and her. And
And here we go talking about how tame the show is, and you pick the one, and you pick the one with erotic pictures. What is the matter
and
with
she
you?
goes all crazy and well, kicks the police and the other girl's ass just because they saw the pictures.
Oh my god, that is so bad. And there's a bunch of stupid, crazy moments. Like there's this moment where I think Yuko, they're all in class taking a test, and suddenly, so this is one of my favorite moments. And Yuko is kind of freaking out because she doesn't know. She's listening. She's either doesn't know what's going on with the test because she never knows anything. And suddenly she looks at Mai, and Mai is doing a bunch of weird shit. And one of the things that she
As
does,
per usual.
and one of the things that she does out of nowhere is she takes her hair off, and she takes her hair off, and then you can see Yuko's jaw drop. And out of nowhere, the camera pans to the side, and you see this random guy in the window with his jaw drop as well. For no, and we don't know who this guy is. Like, there's so much random stuff in the show. Like, one of the things that the show does also in between vignettes, they'll have like actual still images, right? Like, and they're like blurry still images because they're meant to be like intermission images, right?
Yeah.
And there's just one intermission image that happens out of nowhere. That is an intermission image of it's this high school. There's a tree in the middle, and we've seen it for like multiple times, right? So out of nowhere, in this image, we see a young man walking towards the tree, and suddenly a missile hits him and it blows up. And everything blows up. Like everything blows up in this show. But I know
Yeah.
there's a
Like,
lot of random
like
stuff
the
here.
one of the girls having a what's it called, a rocket launcher, or
She
yeah.
has a rocket launcher, AK-47. She has a minigun, and nobody dies because nobody dies because of course yay violence. And then there's other vignette was awesome. So apparently Mai and Yuko are doing some arm wrestling, and apparently Yuko is like a sore loser, and Mai beats her
That's
every
an
time.
understatement.
And every time she loses, he goes, "You know what? I wasn't ready because of this. Oh, you know what? I didn't stretch." and then she loses. You know what? I think what happened is that I was distracted because I was thinking about I don't know. There's a lot of great stuff in this show. But guys, I don't think there's enough to say about the show. You guys got to check this out. I mean, you don't have to watch the entire series. It is available on Funimation slash Crunchyroll. Um, do we have to say it that way? I mean, because I'm
Yeah,
assuming the name Funimation is going to go away at some point, right?
pretty much.
So it's available in Funimation slash Crunchyroll. It's available on Vakani, correct?
Yeah, but it's gonna go into Crunchyroll here in Sweden and pretty much
Yeah.
anytime soon also.
Yeah.
So
So it's a total of 26 episodes. And like I said, guys, this is an awesome show. You don't have to binge it. You can just watch one episode, have a blast, and enjoy the craziness of Nichijou My Ordinary Life. You guys got to check it out. It's super creative, super brilliant. The animation is awesome. Um, and we strongly recommend you check it out. And also, I very interesting piece of trivia. Isaac, do you know what other anime this studio is responsible for?
nope, I don't.
Violet Evergarden.
That's a weird
Yeah, so
resume.
well, here's the thing though. This studio is the one behind Clanad and Clanad After Story. Is behind
Uh,
Con,
I'm not the biggest fan of Clannad, but
but you know it's a big deal, right?
yeah, I
It's
know, I know.
it's the studio behind Con. Is the studio behind Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid?
So what you're saying is that they love the slice of life anime.
Yes. And then they go full crazy here, or they go full dramatic with Violet Evergarden, which is pretty awesome. So, well, guys, I think that's all we got. You guys got to go watch Nichijou My Ordinary Life. It's awesome. Trust me, you will not regret it. If you've seen the show and you love it, share the GIF. Share on the comment section a GIF or a link to the clip that you mostly love of the show. You do that, and we'll share ours. Isaac, if people were to find you, where can they?
Well, you can find my work over at Wobum Entertainment, and you can find me on Twitter at Emblemaniac.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm doing there. And you can also find us at the Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter. And again, if you like what we do here, subscribe, click on the like button, click on the bell for notifications so you don't miss any episodes of the Amateur Otaku Podcast. And if you want to hear us on podcast form, you can listen to us Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. We just put out our podcast episode with our thoughts on Netflix's Cowboy Bebop. Short-lived series, but we do have a lot to say about it. Join Mike, Isaac, and myself as we cover it there. This upcoming week, we have other releases, so stay tuned. We're putting new episodes. We're putting 2 episodes every week on Mondays and Thursdays of the Amateur Taco Pod. So make sure you don't miss any of them on the podcast.
Yeah.
Guys, we will see you next time. Have it awesome.
Peace.
Peace.